This is one-to-one functions, and before we cover one-to-one functions, let's go back over what a function was. A function is a relation, and that's a set of ordered pairs. So it's a set of ordered pairs where for every x value there is one and only one y value. So now for a one-to-one function, it's a function in which every element in the range corresponds to one and only one element in the domain. So before it was for every x, there's only one y. Now for every y, there's only one x. So it means that we don't have repeating x's or y values. So if you look at this one, there's no repeating x's, which means it's a function. For every x, we get one y. But for each of our y values, you notice we're getting two different x's. So this one y value of 3, we have two different x's. That's not one-to-one. No repetition. Not 1, 2, 1. And then here we have repeating x's, so this is not even a function. And if we come into this one, no repeating x's, no repeating y's, that is 1, 2, 1. Okay? It's very confusing, I understand that. So, x's, no repeating x's, no repeating y's, this is one-to-one. And I know you're thinking these are just ordered pairs. We're just looking at them as a relation and determining if they are one-to-one functions. So we have repeating x's. This is not a function. So repeating x's means we're getting more than one y value for each x. Repeating y's means we're getting more than one x value for each y. Okay, so that's one way to tell. Here's the other way. If you have a graph and we draw vertical lines, this tells us if there's a function. And this is not a function because we are hitting more than one point. That's it. So going back to our function video, remember, more than one point, only one point, more than one point. Not a function, not a function, function. So if it's not a function, it's definitely not one-to-one. So we start with the vertical, and that means we have a function. And then now to determine if it's one-to-one, we do horizontal. And you notice we're hitting 1 point each time that we draw a line. That means we have a 1, 2, 1 function. So you have to do both tests now to determine if it's one-to-one. So we do horizontal, vertical lines. This is a function. And then we do horizontal. Oh, right there. All you have to do is hit it one time. That's it. One repetition. And this is not 1, 2, 1. And that's it. So if you can do vertical lines and horizontal lines and you hit only 1 point each time you do a vertical or horizontal line, then it is one-to-one. If you can hit the graph twice with any vertical or any horizontal line, it is not a one-to-one function. Alright, so here's our wordy little definition. If f of a equals f of b, this implies that a equals b, then f is one-to-one. So I know it just seems weird, but it's basically saying if you only have one y, then the only way to get that one y is if your x is the same. Okay? So what we do is this. You first make a function, and then you make an f of a and an f of b. And that means just plugging in an a and then plugging in a b. And then we set them equal. Right? And then solve. -2, -2. Just pick one letter and solve for it. I'm picking the a. Divide by 3, divide by 3, a equals b. That's perfect. This means we have a 1, 2, 1 function. This is a linear equation, so it looks like this. It's just like this one. So it passes our vertical and our horizontal line tests. Which means it's one-to-one. Alright? So what this is saying is the only way for the y's to be equal, these two right here, is if the x's are equal. And the only way for the x's to be equal is if the y's are equal. It's one-to-one. Alright? So let's look at one that's not. This is a quadratic. Looks like this. So we know it is a function, but it fails our horizontal line test, which means it's not a one-to-one. And you can always do this as well. You could just graph it and then do vertical and horizontal line tests. but we're going to use our definition. So we have f of a, f of b, and again, we just plug in a, plug in b, and then set them equal. That's what we're doing here. Alright, so I'm going to solve for a. Square root, and I got to put plus or minus there. So a equals plus or minus b. This doesn't mean they're equal. A does equal b, but a also equals negative b. So we are getting more than one value. We are getting a repetition. So this is not one-to-one. It has to be a equals b. So to review, if you're looking for one-to-one functions, you can graph them, or you can plug in an a, plug in a b, and solve. And if you get a repetition, then it's not one-to-one.